He was worried the student he sponsored couldn't afford the train ticket. My childhood sweetheart changed his first-choice university from Nanjing University to a local one. By the time I found out, there were only 2 hours left before the deadline. My best friend asked me cautiously, "Xiaoji, it's not time yet. You can still change it if you want to." I looked at the photo of me and Ji Huaiji on the screen and shook my head bitterly. "No, I won't change it. Let it be 1 at 5 p.m. The college preference submission officially closed. Only then did my best friend believe I was truly set on going to Nanjing University. She excitedly started planning our university life together. Just as they were speaking, the sound of a keypad lock disengaging came from outside the door. Ji Huaiji entered with Lin Jingyao in tow. "Xia Ji, have you submitted your university application preferences yet?" I already told her, with both our scores. There's really only one university in the city we can apply to, but Jingyao still wasn't convinced and insisted I come over to ask you. "You care about him more than I do." He said this while looking at the girl beside him with a helpless expression. After deciding not to attend the same university as Ji Huaiji, my state of mind seemed to shift. I no longer felt that familiar pang in my chest whenever I saw him being affectionate with Lin Jingyao, nodded calmly. "I've already submitted my application. What brings you here?" Ji Huaiji looked at my indifferent expression, somewhat displeased. "Xia Ji, what's with this attitude?" Lin Jingyao glanced at him, then lowered her head in embarrassment and spoke timidly. "Xia Ji, my family is poor. Nanda University is too far from here. Just the round-trip train tickets for the winter and summer holidays would cost a fortune every year. My college entrance exam scores weren't great either. Rather than going to another province, it's better for me to stay and attend a university in the city. It's all because of me that Huaiji decided to change schools at the last minute. He was just helping me choose a major, which is why he couldn't get here in time and only gave you a call. Please don't be angry with him." Listening to Lin Jingyao's words, which were framed as an explanation but were really just a boast, I spoke calmly. "Didn't you already know all of this yourself? Why didn't you say anything when we were first submitting our preferences? Why wait until now?" Lin Jingyao seemed startled and hurriedly explained. "That's not how it is. I discussed this with Huaiji early on. It was only just finalized. Discussed it early on." I lowered my gaze. "So, while I was filled with anticipation about going to Nan University with Ji Huaiji, he was busy planning the future with Lin Jingyao." Seeing that I didn't respond, Lin Jingyao's voice grew softer and softer, finally breaking into a slight sob. It was as if she had been deeply wronged. Ji Huaiji spoke up, his tone laced with displeasure. "All right, Xia Ji, didn't I tell you when I changed my decision the last time? Why do you keep harping on it?" The icy tone in his voice jolted me awake. I looked at the young man's handsome face and averted my gaze. "I'm not upset. I was just a little curious about why you suddenly changed your application. Now that I understand, I can finally let it go completely." 2. Ji Huaiji and I grew up together. After my father passed away, my mother went south to run a business, leaving just my grandmother and me at home all year round. Some mean kids at school, knowing about my family situation, would often pick on me in secret. They'd either snatch my pencil during a test or let the air out of my bike tires after school. I didn't want to worry my grandmother, so I could only wipe away my tears quietly, all by myself. That was when Ji Huaiji appeared. He fiercely beat up everyone who had bullied me, then took me to the bike shop to get my bicycle fixed. From then on, I became his little sidekick. We went to school together, came home together, and walked through the seasons and our youth side by side. We made a pact to both apply to Nanjing University, agreeing to officially become a couple once we started college. That was, until Lin Jingyao showed up a year ago. She was a financially disadvantaged student sponsored by Ji Huaiji's mother. Due to the poor quality of education in her hometown, she transferred to a city high school for her senior year and lived with the Ji family. At first, Ji Huaiji was somewhat resistant towards her, whether at home or at school. He hardly ever spoke to her, yet, Lin Jingyao still tried her best to please him, treading carefully. She was afraid of upsetting him in any way. Sometimes when I saw her, it was like seeing my younger self bullied by classmates and utterly alone. She would start a conversation with her when Ji Huaiji was ignoring her. She would even urge Ji Huaiji to be nicer to her, but he remained unmoved, until one day after school, we stumbled upon Lin Jingyao hiding alone in the classroom. He was solving the problem while crying silently. Ji Huaiji's expression at that moment was complex, a mix of being moved, guilt, and reluctance. Looking back now, there was also a trace of barely perceptible heartache. After that, his attitude softened. He would make me go home alone so he could help Lin Jingyao with her homework. He would move his seat next to Lin Jingyao because she wasn't getting along with her deskmate. That afternoon, he called and said he would give up on Nanjing University to stay in the city with Lin Jingyao. I felt a mix of heartache and disappointment, but more than anything, it was a sense of relief. It felt as if something had truly settled, once and for all. 3. Ji Huaiji was certain I would follow his lead and change my application back to a local university. He didn't even bother to ask me which one I had actually filled out, then he just walked off with Lin Jingyao. By the time Wan Tang and I arrived at the restaurant for the class reunion, the two of them were already there. I scanned the room and chose a seat as far away from Ji Huaiji as possible. I didn't notice the confusion and bewilderment in his eyes as he looked at me. One of Ji Huaiji's close friends joked, "Xie Ji, why are you sitting all the way over there? If you don't make a move soon, someone else is really going to snatch Ji Huaiji away." As for who this someone else was, everyone present knew perfectly well. Lin Jingyao wasn't angry. Instead, a blush instantly spread across her face as she stole a shy glance at Ji Huaiji, sensing the awkward tension among our group. The class monitor quickly stepped in to smooth things over. "What nonsense are you talking about? Ji Huaiji and Xie Ji are so good together. We promised each other we'd both go to Nanjing University. Remember, right, Xie Ji?" Before I could say a word, Lin Jingyao cut in. "Huaiji didn't apply to Nanjing University. He was worried I couldn't afford the cost of living there. So he enrolled in a local university with me." His face was beaming with pride, as if declaring his victory. The table fell silent, and someone couldn't help but ask me, "Xie Ji, is this true? Aren't you angry?" I looked at Lin Jingyao's smug face and answered nonchalantly, "What's there to be angry about? Everyone makes their own choices, that's all. Just as Ji Huaiji chose Lin Jingyao, and I chose Nanjing University." 4. Halfway through the meal, I stepped out to use the restroom. When I got back, I found that Ji Huaiji and Lin Jingyao had somehow switched to the seats next to mine. Ji Huaiji's face was flushed, probably from having a bit to drink. His eyes lit up when he saw me, and he leaned in close to whisper in my ear, "Xie Ji, I know you're still upset with me for changing my college application, but you know how things are with Jingyao's family. If she went to study down south, she couldn't even afford the round-trip train tickets for the summer and winter breaks. Staying in the city would make it much easier for her to get home. She's timid and has a gentle, unassertive nature. You wouldn't have the heart to leave her here alone for university, would you?" Jingyao mentioned it. "If you want to go south, we could take a trip together in a couple of days. Come on, don't be angry, okay?" I pushed Ji Huaiji's overly close head away and took a delicate sip of tea. "I told you, I'm not angry. Besides, doesn't Lin Jingyao struggle to even afford her living expenses for university? How does she have spare money for travel?" Splash! The cup slipped from Lin Jingyao's hand and shattered on the floor. Biting her lower lip, she looked at me and said, "Xie Ji, I know your family is well off, so you've always looked down on me. I borrowed the money for this trip from Huaiji, but I'll pay him back gradually. Do only you rich kids get to enjoy your youth? Are we from poor families just supposed to accept our fate and work odd jobs forever?" The classmates whispered among themselves. Xie Ji really does seem to have it out for Lin Jingyao. Yeah, Xie Ji might have good grades, but her temper is really something else. If I were Ji Huaiji, I wouldn't choose her either. Lin Jingyao's eyes welled up with tears. Ji Huaiji's gaze grew steadily colder. "Xie Ji, apologize to Jingyao." Wan Tang stood up for me, saying, "Didn't she always say her family was poor?" Xie Ji just asked a casual question. Why should she have to apologize? The summer break is so long. She could have easily worked and saved up for the trip. You're not out there working a part-time job, and you're not back home helping your parents either. She's just tagging along with you, eating, drinking, and having fun all day, even borrowing money to go on trips. Who else should we be talking about if not her? Lin Jingyao's tears fell even harder. Watching the scene before me, I suddenly felt it was all so pointless. He pulled Wan Tang to her feet and walked off without another word. Ji Huaiji grabbed my wrist, refusing to let it go. "Xie Ji, apologize to Jingyao, otherwise, you can forget about coming on the trip." My wrist ached from his grip. I pried Ji Huaiji's fingers off, one by one, and sneered, "Ji Huaiji. You and Lin Jingyao can go wherever you want, do whatever you please. I have no interest whatsoever in getting involved between the two of you. Don't ever come looking for me again." With that, she walked away without a backward glance. She left Ji Huaiji standing there alone, his face dark with anger. That very evening, Lin Jingyao posted a message on her social media feed. The photo showed their hands, fingers tightly interlaced, hers and Ji Huaiji's. Caption: "Meeting the best you. In the best years of my life." I glanced at it, but felt little stir of emotion inside. I went back to packing my suitcase, planning to spend the summer at my mom's place. 5. As soon as the plane touched down, my phone buzzed with a rapid-fire string of notifications. They were all from Ji Huaiji. "Xia Ji, Jingyao and I are planning a trip to Hainan. If you apologize now, there's still time to buy a ticket. There's nothing between me and Jingyao." She posted that on her social media just to thank my family for supporting her all these years. "Xiaji, I really don't get you. Our whole family is right here in the city. What's so bad about staying local for college? You've already changed your application. What's the point of getting worked up over this now?" I frowned, looking at that pile of messages, and didn't reply. Ji Huaiji had thought of everything for Lin Jingyao, yet he never once considered, "My father passed away early. And my mother's company is based in the south. My grandmother's health is poor and she can't handle the cold, so she plans to retire in the south. Staying in the city for university wasn't the right choice for me." I finally made it home after a long journey. As soon as I walked in, I saw a young man sitting on the sofa. He was tall and slender, with a cool, handsome face. As he stood up, he carried with him a faint scent reminiscent of pine trees after a snowfall. A large, well-defined hand with prominent knuckles took my luggage. "Xia Ji, do you remember me? I'm Lu Yang." Lu Yang is the son of my mother's best friend. He's 2 years older than me and is currently a junior majoring in finance at Nanjing University. He heard I'd applied to Nanjing University too, so he came to help me get familiar with the campus. A whole 2 weeks passed without a word from Ji Huaiji. All he did was constantly post photos of his trips with Lin Jingyao on social media. Meanwhile, I explored every corner of Nanjing University with Lu Yang by my side. I didn't return to Beicheng until the admission results came out. The main reason for this trip back is to handle the sale of the house. Mom was worried I couldn't manage everything alone, so she specifically asked Lu Yang to come with me. Right as I reached the entrance of the residential complex, I ran into Auntie Ji, who had just come back from grocery shopping. She warmly invited Lu Yang and me to her home for a meal. We couldn't talk her out of it, and upon learning that Ji Huaichuan and Lin Jingyao weren't home that day, we had no choice but to go back with her. While cooking, Auntie Ji started telling me about Ji Huaiji. "Xiaoji, that boy Hui really drives me up the wall. He went and changed his application without saying a word. I only found out he'd switched schools when the acceptance letter arrived at the house. It's a good thing he told me you changed yours too. Or I really would have tanned his hide. Once you're both at school, you'll have to keep a good eye on him for me." Alright, Auntie Ji has always been very kind to me. When I was little and got sick with a fever, she took care of me more times than I can count. I stood frozen in place, the words coming out with difficulty. "Auntie, I didn't change my application. I still put down Nanjing University." 6. Auntie Ji was somewhat surprised to learn I had applied to Nanjing University, but he didn't say much more, just reminded me to study hard and take good care of Mom and Grandma once I got there. The three of us finished the meal in silence. After saying goodbye to Auntie Ji, I went home and started packing. Mom had already settled things with the buyer. The prospective buyers for our house are a middle-aged couple. They're eager to move in for their child's schooling. They can sign the contract right after the viewing this afternoon. I'm currently showing them around on the balcony. A familiar voice came from outside. "Who are you? What are you doing at Xia Ji's place?" Turning my head, I saw Ji Huaiji standing at the doorway, eyeing Lu Yang with a wary expression. I sighed and stepped forward. "Ji Huaiji, this is Lu Yang, the son of my mom's best friend. This is my high school classmate, Ji Huaiji. He's also the neighbor who lives in the apartment above me." After hearing my explanation, Ji Huaiji's expression darkened further. He was about to ask another question when a woman's voice, choked with emotion, interrupted him. "Huaiji, did you get a clear answer?" It was Lin Jingyao. She stood at the top of the stairs, lips pressed tightly together, her eyes red and swollen. Clearly, she had been crying. Ji Huaiji's expression shifted several times before settling into a dark scowl as he asked me, "Xia Ji, did you go to my place at noon?" I nodded. "I ran into Auntie Ji on the way back, so I stopped by your place for lunch." As soon as the words were spoken, Lin Jingyao's tears began to fall like a string of broken pearls. Ji Huaiji's brow furrowed even more deeply. "Xia Ji, what did you say to my mother at lunch?" She just suddenly turned very cold towards Jingyao and told her to move out of the house once she starts university. "I was the one who decided to change the application choices. If you're going to blame anyone, blame me." "Stop giving Jingyao a hard time. You need to go and explain this to my mom right now." "Fine. You can go to registration by yourself then." I was in a hurry to sign the contract with the buyer and couldn't be bothered to argue with Ji Huaiji. I replied in a low voice. "Okay." Ji Huaiji froze for a moment. When he realized what I was saying, his expression instantly darkened. "Xia Ji, what do you mean by that?" I looked up at him, offering no further explanation. I slammed the door shut. 7. After the contract was signed, we started cleaning the house. There wasn't a lot of stuff in the house. The large items were all left behind. Clothes were either donated or thrown away. The only things that really mattered were some documents and photos. There was also a metal box, containing the birthday gifts Ji Huaiji had given me. From the age of 7 to 17, there was a paper crane he folded himself. There was a pearl bracelet he saved up to buy. There was also a protective charm he prayed for at the temple. But the year I turned 18, there was nothing. I remember it was a Saturday. I was doing homework at Ji Huaiji's place. Things between us were already a bit delicate at that point. He spent the entire afternoon tutoring Lin Jingyao. He rarely speaks to me. I felt a bit hurt, but I didn't want to show any weakness in front of Lin Jingyao. After wrestling with it for a long time, I still whispered a reminder as I was leaving. "Ji Huaiji, today is my birthday." He looked a bit annoyed and said he needed to hurry off to buy me a gift, but Lin Jingyao called out to stop him. "Ji Huaiji, I still don't quite understand this problem. Could you explain it to me one more time?" Ji Huaiji glanced at me, then at Lin Jingyao. I hesitated for a moment, but finally spoke up. "Xiaji, you go home first and wait for me. I'll come find you after I finish explaining this problem to Jingyao." I waited at home for a long time that day, but I waited until after midnight, and Ji Huaiji still never showed up. I saw him at school the next day. He didn't bring out a gift either. Instead, he told me with a frown, "Xia Ji, you know what? Jingyao has never celebrated a birthday in her life." Her voice was full of pity. The ringtone from my phone snapped me out of my thoughts. Lu Yang must have just finished moving things. His voice was a little breathless. "Xiaoji, I've mailed out your study materials and clothes. Is there anything else you need help with over there?" I looked at the empty room and shook my head. "No, that's everything. Just wait for me at the courier station." Then I sealed the box and put it with the clothes to be discarded. I threw it all into the dumpster. 8. Lu Yang and I had booked a flight for 10 o'clock at night. After saying goodbye to Auntie Ji, I hopped on my bike and headed straight for Lu Yang's place. I just never expected to run into Ji Huaiji again. A group of people, who had likely just come from a classmate's college acceptance celebration, were standing outside the restaurant discussing where to go for the evening. My first instinct was to pretend I hadn't seen them and just walk on by. A person suddenly darted out in front of the vehicle. I instinctively squeezed the brakes. Just as I steadied myself, a dark figure bumped into me. I fell and landed sitting on the ground. Ji Huaiji had his back to me as he helped the startled Lin Jingyao to her feet. His voice was thick with rage. "Xia Ji, you did that on purpose, didn't you? How the hell could you not see a whole person standing right there?" Someone whispered a reminder from the side. "Ji Huaiji." Xia Ji fell too. Only then did he turn his head, seeing my unsteady steps. A flicker of hesitation passed through his eyes, but he still spoke in a cold voice. "She brought it on herself for not being careful while riding her bike. Serves her right." I ignored him and looked at Lin Jingyao, my voice low and serious. "What's the idea of stopping me all of a sudden?" Lin Jingyao spoke in a sweet, coquettish tone. "Xia Ji, I've got it all figured out. Aunt Ji said the reason they're asking me to move out is because another sponsored student will be moving in next year." Then, she looked towards Ji Huaiji. "Huaiji, you misunderstood Xia Ji last time. You should apologize to her." Ji Huaiji looked at me, his expression somewhat awkward. "Why should I apologize? If she hadn't been constantly targeting you, I would never have suspected her in the first place. Fine, I'll apologize to her. On one condition, she has to promise to stop bullying you, and she needs to make amends for what happened at the hotel last time. Then, and only then, will I apologize to her." Lin Jingyao shot him a look, then turned to me with a bright smile and said, "Sorry about that. Xie Huaiji is just like that sometimes. Please don't be upset." I glanced at my watch. It was already 7:30, a casual brush off. Yeah, it's fine, it's nothing. No need to apologize." Little did they know which word had set off Ji Huaiji again. He let out a scornful laugh, his tone dripping with disdain. "Xie, what's the point of you always pretending you don't care?" I didn't understand what he meant, nor did I have time to figure it out. I just got on my bike and rode straight off. Behind me, the conversation between Ji Huaiji and his classmate was carried on the wind. "Ji Huaiji, don't you think you're being unfair to Xie? She gave up even Nanda University for you. It's just changing a college preference. Why the big fuss?" No one asked her to do it. The voice was loud, as if it was deliberately said for me to hear, but I was in a hurry to be on my way and didn't look back. 9. Ji Huaiji has been feeling a bit irritable lately. Ever since he last ran into Xie by the roadside, it had been a long time since he last saw her. Their classmates seemed to have noticed they were arguing. They tacitly agreed not to bring it up in front of him. Ji Huaiji couldn't understand why Xie was so angry. It was just a change of plans for the future. They've known each other since they were 7, in all their 10 years, they'd never gone this long without seeing each other. He had upset Xie before, but he'd just give her the cold shoulder for a few days, and that was that. Xie would let it go and sweetly comfort him. One year for his birthday, she even gave him a whole stack of makeup coupons. She said that if he ever upset her, all he had to do was present a coupon, and she would forgive him. Why is it different this time? After hesitating for a long time, he finally brought it up to Mrs. G as if it were just a casual remark, saying he hadn't seen Xie in ages. She's probably gone to stay with her mother. Mrs. G's words left Ji Huaiji standing there, stunned. It just dawned on me that the city where Nanjing University is located is where Xie's mother works. He was beginning to understand why Xie was upset. Yet, he couldn't help but feel a secret thrill at the weight he held in Xie's heart. He wanted to apologize to her, but his pride wouldn't let him. I looked at the makeup coupon again and felt it was really too childish. I just thought, I'll deal with it after school starts. After all, they go to the same school. Him and Xie, there's still plenty of time. 10. Time flew by. The summer vacation I had been looking forward to for 3 years slipped away like flowing water amidst the chorus of cicadas. I gradually grew accustomed to the damp, changeable weather and the soft, gentle dialect of the south. All those things I experienced with Ji Huaiji in the northern city. It feels like a lifetime ago. Ruan Tang, bored at home, also came down to the southern city. We picked an ancient town to escape the summer heat. A light drizzle began to fall in the narrow lane. Flanked by whitewashed walls and dark-tiled roofs, sheltering under the eaves, I watched the raindrops patter on the bluestone slabs outside the corridor. Suddenly, I was reminded of Jiang Jie's lyric poem, "The Beautiful Lady You." Joy and sorrow, meeting and parting, all are but heartless turns of fate. The rain drips on the steps until the break of day. My youth slipped away with the last rain of summer. It was over. Soon, September arrived. Mom took time off work to drive me and Ruan Tang to registration. Ever since she got back from her trip, she's been going to Nanjing University every day to watch the upperclassmen play basketball, and she's gotten noticeably tanner. Today was no different. As soon as she packed up, she headed straight for the basketball court. She even bought 2 bottles of water like an old pro and handed one to me. "When you see one you like, just go up and give him some water." Got it? I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but seeing how excited she was, I had no choice but to reluctantly go along with it. The whistle blew for half-time. Ruan Tang dashed out. Before leaving, she even gave me a knowing look. I followed her gaze. I saw a figure surrounded on the court. "Senior Lu, can I have your phone number?" "Hey, Senior, do you have a girlfriend?" "Senior, that 3-pointer was amazing." Our eyes met. Only then did I realize it was Lu Yang. He was wearing a black jersey and casually wiped the sweat from his brow. He made his way through the crowd, step by step, walking towards me. He took the bottle of water from my hand. A few disappointed sighs rose from the sidelines. Another player was complaining loudly, "Liu Yang, it's just a friendly match. Did you really have to go that hard?" I looked into the young man's meaningful eyes. My heart skipped a beat. 11. By the time I finished packing up my things back at the dorm, it was already 9 in the evening. I thought back on everything that had happened today. My mind was still a bit of a mess. I was just about to call Liu Yang when a ringtone interrupted me. I looked at the name on the screen. After a moment's hesitation, I answered it. From the other end of the line, a familiar voice spoke. "Xiaji, where are you? Want to go for a walk on the sports field?" I was at a loss for words, unsure how to respond. Ji Huaiji thought I was sulking and hurriedly explained. "Sorry, I originally wanted to register with you, but Jing Yao wasn't very familiar with the city, so I saw her to the school first. Though I came right back after dropping her off, didn't even help with her luggage. Changing the application was my oversight. If you miss your mom, I can go with you to Nancheng every holiday from now on. Please don't be mad at me anymore, okay?" Ji Huaiji's words came in a rapid, urgent stream, and I hadn't yet figured out how to respond. Wan Tang walked over. "Xiaji, stop your marathon phone call with your Liu Yang and go take a shower already." There was a moment of silence on the other end of the line. Ji Huaiji's voice trembled slightly as he spoke, each word deliberate. "Xiaji, where exactly are you?" I took a deep breath and said slowly, "At Nanjing University." "How is that possible?" "Impossible. I specifically reminded you to change your application choices." "You did remind me, but I never agreed to it." "Isn't that right?" Thud. From the other end of the receiver, it sounded like something heavy had hit the floor, eerily quiet. 12. After I mentioned I was at Nanjing University, I lost contact with Ji Huaiji. The next time I saw him was already the following night. He stood at the foot of the dormitory building, as silent and still as a statue. When he saw me, a flicker of light sparked in his eyes, only to fade just as quickly. He asked me, with a stubborn persistence, "Xiaji, can we talk?" I shook my head and walked past him, unfazed, but he seemed hell-bent on pestering me to the end. For several days in a row, he followed right behind me. He fetched my meals, picked up my books, and collected my packages. Sometimes, when he saw Wan Tang and me having a good chat, he'd come over and try to chime in with a word or two. Seeing that no one paid him any mind, he'd quietly retreat to the side again. He couldn't get into the girls' dormitory. He just kept watch downstairs, waiting until late into the night. Wan Tang sneered. "Now he shows up with the milk, after the baby's already dead. Only when the snot's in your mouth do you think to wipe it. So you're feeling regretful now. Where was all this concern back then? You treated me like that for Lin Jingyao's sake. And now you come crawling back looking for sympathy. It's a good thing Liu Yang is away for training, or I'd have to teach him a lesson." Some classmates noticed him constantly loitering outside the girls' dormitory and filmed it, posting the video online, just wondering, did this handsome guy upset his girlfriend? Why is he waiting downstairs alone every day? He doesn't even go back at high noon. Looks pretty pitiful. Ji Huaiji's looks are truly striking, and the video of him went viral on the forum as a result. But I got the news from Auntie Ji. She called me, crying, "Xiaoji, I know Ji Huaiji upset you, but he's still my own flesh and blood." He stood out there for hours under that blazing sun, his face all red from the heat. He won't leave even when it's windy and rainy at night. And he doesn't even think to use an umbrella. If he keeps this up, his body won't be able to take it. Could you, for my sake, try to persuade him to come home? I've always felt a deep sense of gratitude towards Auntie G. Hearing her cry made my heart ache too. I had no choice but to agree. 13. Inside the bubble tea shop, Ji Huaiji stared at the Nanjing University emblem on my shirt and gave a bitter smile. "Xiaji, you didn't change your application. Why didn't you tell me? There were still 2 hours before the deadline. If you had told me, I could have changed mine back. We promised each other we'd be together once we got to university. Why did it have to turn out this way?" I sighed helplessly. "Ji Huaiji, I've told you since we started high school that I wanted to go to Nanjing University. We had our applications all filled out, and then you suddenly changed your mind. Besides, you've already decided to stay in the city with Lin Jingyao. Why would I ask you to change your mind now?" Ji Huaiji latched onto a key word in my statement, sounding a bit urgent. "You're still jealous about the whole Lin Jingyao thing, aren't you? There's really nothing between us. I just felt sorry for her. So I looked out for her a bit more, that's all. If you don't like it, I won't contact her anymore, I know. Ji Huaiji's unfinished explanation was cut off, and he stared at me blankly. What did you say? I looked into his eyes and sighed. I know you've loved martial arts novels and cop shows since you were a kid. You always dreamed of being a great hero, standing tall and proud, fighting evil and upholding justice. That's how you were with me when we were young, and later. With Lin Jingyao, it was the same, it's just that I was once the weak one you helped, and later, I became the villain in your redemption story. You relish that thrill of championing justice, you bask in the approving looks from others, you jumped to the conclusion that I held a grudge against Lin Jingyao, and then he stood up for her at every turn. Your story needs a villainess, and I happen to be the perfect candidate. That's not how it is. Ji Huaiji's eyes reddened as he murmured, that's not how it is, Xie Ji, she's the one who keeps telling me you have it in for her. I wave my hand dismissively. Ji Huaiji, that's enough, I don't want to hear another word. Shifting the blame like this only makes me think less of you. The problem between us was never about Lin Jingyao. If a relationship can be shaken by a few words from someone else, that only proves it wasn't strong enough to begin with. Ji Huaiji's face grew a shade paler, his lips parted, as if he had a great deal to say, but in the end, he only asked one question. Xie Ji, do you hate me? I looked at Ji Huaiji, and suddenly, the memory of our first meeting came flooding back. The young boy extended his hand to me. Xie Ji, don't cry anymore, I've already chased them off. From now on, walk home with me after school, I'll always protect you. He gave a soft chuckle. Ji Huaiji, no matter what, I'm truly grateful to you. When I was a child, you protected me so earnestly, even though so much has changed since then. We had our share of arguments and harsh words, but I still couldn't bring myself to hate the boy who had protected me for so long. Ji Huaizi turned his head away, tears finally spilling over as he choked out, Xie Ji, I'm sorry. I handed him a tissue. It's okay, just between the two of us, the best possible ending, the end. Epilogue. Youth is a rain shower that passes all too quickly. I thought that summer, hiding from the rain with Ruan Tang in the ancient town, was the end of the story. I never imagined how unpredictable life could be. True farewells never come with a warning. The last time I saw Ji Huaiji was at his funeral. When he came home for the summer, he saw someone drowning. There were 3 children in total. He went down 3 times. By the time he pushed the last child onto the bank, he had no strength left. Aunt Ji broke down in tears and fainted several times, murmuring over and over, he's always been like this since he was a boy, always trying to prove himself. With so many people there, why did he have to be the one to go down when no one else would? He'd already managed to climb back up twice. Why did you have to go down there again? All 3 rescued children had come and were kowtowing ceaselessly before the altar in honor of Auntie Ji. Lin Jingyao had also come, but Auntie Ji drove her out. I only found out she had dropped out long ago after asking a classmate. The student loan was originally enough to cover her tuition and living expenses, but she was vain and cared too much about appearances, insisting on only the best food and things, unwilling to take on a part-time job. She had no choice but to borrow money from classmates. After hitting up everyone she knew for money, nobody wanted anything to do with her anymore. She then got hooked on online loans and gambling. She stopped going to class and was expelled from school within a few months. After the funeral, Lu Yang and I accompanied Auntie Ji back to her home, her hands trembling. She retrieved a box from Ji Huaiji's room. Xiaoji, this was Huaiji's most treasured possession. It has your name on it. Please, take it. I opened the box. Inside were all the birthday gifts I had given Ji Huaiji over the years. On top of the gift, there was also a letter. Xie Ji, I've been thinking a lot since we got back from Nanjing University that day. You were absolutely right about everything you said. I was trying to show off in front of our classmates, blindly siding with Lin Jingyao, and I ended up hurting you. I realize now that I was wrong. I don't know if you're willing to make up and still be friends with me. At the end of the letter, there was even a makeup coupon I had given him for his birthday 1 year, still attached. I thought about it for a long time, but in the end, I burned the reply and sent it to him. Ji Huaiji, I have received your letter. I am willing to make peace with you. You are a true hero now, and we are all so very proud of you. Signed, your forever friend, Xie Ji. Story 2. The last time I was kicked out of the car by Song Wang. I knew that it was all over between him and me. I wasn't as sad as I had imagined. In fact, I was even a bit relieved. I chose the blind date partner arranged by my family and prepared to study abroad in Germany with him. On Song Wang's birthday, our friends teased, "I wonder what gift Jinyan has prepared for Brother Wang." Needless to guess, Jinyan will definitely give Brother Wang that piece of land he took a fancy to some time ago, but I didn't show up until the end of the banquet. He didn't know that I had really gone to Germany, and I really didn't want him anymore. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. On Friday morning, I received a message from Song Wang. "Come back to the old mansion tonight, at 6 o'clock. I replied okay and then threw my phone aside. When the time came, I went downstairs on time. Song Wang's Bentley was parked at the door, and the driver, Uncle Wang, was standing beside it. Seeing me come out, Uncle Wang opened the door of the passenger seat. I nodded and smiled, then stepped in. As expected, I saw Song Wang and Baiji sitting in the back seat of the car. The two of them were chatting and laughing, as if they didn't see me. I was glad to be left alone and leaned back on the seat, closing my eyes to rest. After a while, Baiji seemed to notice that there was an extra person in the front passenger seat. She said in a soft voice, "Sister Jinyan, I'm sorry. Did we disturb you?" In the past, I would definitely have retorted, something like, "If you know you're disturbing me, why don't you shut up? Or who do you think you are? You don't even deserve to talk to me." But this time, I didn't. I shook my head and said calmly, "No, you can go on." Baiji was stunned for a moment, and then said, "It's all because our Wang was talking to me that I didn't notice Sister Jinyan. Sister Jinyan won't be angry with me, will you?" As she spoke, Baiji stuck out her tongue playfully and then hugged Song Wang's arm. "Ah Wang, please say something nice to sister. It's the first time Aji is meeting Grandpa today. We can't make Grandpa angry. Don't be afraid, Aji," Song Wang said indulgently, and then a comforting kiss landed on her side face. When he turned to look at me, his eyes were cold, as if there was a hint of warning. "Jinyan won't be angry, right?" Although it wasn't the first time that Song Wang had questioned me because of Baiji, my heart still ached uncontrollably. In his heart, I was actually so insignificant. I laughed self-deprecatingly. Of course, I disdain that. I don't know which word I said offended Song Wang, and the air pressure around him suddenly dropped terribly. He squinted his eyes and called me by my full name. "Shen Jinyan, what do you mean?" I sat up straight and looked at him through the rearview mirror. "I said I disdain to do that, and I won't do it either. Is that okay, Mr. Song?" This was the first time I addressed him like this. After I finished speaking, Song Wang suddenly fell silent. I didn't plan to look at him anymore. As my gaze quickly passed through his eyes, I suddenly remembered the first few years. When I first learned that the elders of our two families were matchmaking the arranged marriage between him and me, I was in my prime. The neighbor brother from my childhood had grown into a handsome and gentle young man. Those pitch black and distinct eyes fascinated me deeply. Now the gentleness on him had faded, and the sharp and cold face of an adult was also particularly striking. But now, I truly didn't want to squeeze into his world anymore. Just at this moment of silence, Baiji suddenly sobbed, "It's all my fault. I made Sister Jinyan angry. I heard from Ah Wang that he and sister were going to the old mansion. I remembered that I was alone, so I asked Ah Wang to take me with him. It's all my fault." She bit her lip and looked at Song Wang with a wronged expression, with a teardrop still hanging from the corner of her eye. "Sister, don't be angry. Aji won't go." As she spoke, she was about to unbuckle her seatbelt. But because she was crying and flustered, she couldn't unbuckle it for a while. Song Wang hugged the fidgeting Baiji, held her hand, and comforted her in his arms for a long time. Finally, Baiji fell asleep in his arms after crying herself out. When he raised his head again, the tenderness on his face turned into coldness when he faced me. "You and I both know that the arranged marriage set by the elders in the family doesn't count. You are nothing in front of Aji. I'll say it one last time. I don't like you. The only person I like is Baiji." I knew he liked her. It was such an obvious preference. Who in this circle didn't know, remembering Song Wang's words? "If it weren't for Grandpa liking you and insisting on seeing you, why would I bring you along and make Aji sad?" When I was kicked out of the car again, I actually let out a sigh of relief. I realized that I wasn't as sad as I had imagined. I was even a bit glad. Suddenly, I remembered my birthday. At that time, because Song Wang was in a relationship with Baiji, I was angry with him for a long time. To make me happy, he booked the entire Peninsula Hotel to celebrate my birthday. But he didn't rush in until halfway through the banquet. My little sisters noticed that I wasn't in high spirits, so they coaxed me. "Mr. Song must have prepared a surprise for you and will make a grand entrance at the end." After she said that, I also thought that Song Wang must have prepared a very thoughtful gift for me, but when he opened the box, I realized that this bracelet in front of me was actually a complimentary gift of the valuable necklace around Baiji's neck. Before I could get angry, Song Wang beside me answered the phone. I heard that the voice on the other end of the phone seemed to be Baiji. "Ah Wang, did you not close the door properly when you went out just now? There seems to be some noise in the living room. I'm alone." Baiji's voice still had a hint of a tremor, as if a kitten was acting coquettishly. My paws instantly stood on end, but Song Wang fell for it. He chuckled and said, "Be good, I'm celebrating a friend's birthday. Don't make a fuss." As soon as he finished speaking, I heard a scream, followed by a crackling and inexplicable sound. The smile on Song Wang's face faded, and he turned to look at me. "Jinyan, you can continue to have fun with your friends here. I'll go back and check on Baiji." After saying that, without waiting for me to try to persuade him to stay, he hurried away from the crowd. I don't know what possessed me at that time, but I chased after Song Wang and ran out, but I only managed to see the rear of the car speeding away. Later, I squatted by the roadside alone for a long, long time, for so long that it started to rain, for so long that the darkness turned white. Suddenly, I sat down on the ground, and my legs were numb and aching. I finally understood. Secret love has always been a chaotic battle for one person. The young man who had once made my heart flutter in my youth. Finally, his figure was slowly erased at this moment. Shen Jinyan. I raised my head and saw a pair of long legs walking towards me. My gaze moved up and landed on the man's peerless and extraordinary face. He was indeed much more handsome than in the photo. In fact, a few months ago, when my father asked me if I still wanted to have the arranged marriage with Song Wang, I refused. His relationship with Baiji was more serious than any of his previous relationships. I had to admit that I had lost. Perhaps I had never really been in the game. To Song Wang, I was just a joke of an arranged marriage partner, but because Grandpa Song had saved my life, he liked me very much and wanted me to be his granddaughter-in-law. My family didn't know how to tell the old man about this, but 3 days ago, my father took out a photo and asked me what I thought. Well, he was so handsome that he stole my heart. My father laughed heartily and said that this young man from the Cheng family was good and that I could get to know him. At that time, I didn't know that the young man from the Cheng family my father mentioned was actually the young master of the Cheng family in Jingbei. "I thought you might not come." After all, the so-called childhood sweetheart Mr. Song, who had a friendship of more than 10 years, had kicked me out of the car. And Cheng Yang was just a strange blind date partner. "Shen Jinyan, you deserve better. Don't underestimate yourself." The man's eyes were too sincere. If I didn't know that we hadn't known each other before, I might have thought he liked me. I smiled, opened the car door, and got in. Just as I was about to reach out to fasten my seatbelt, the man's breath suddenly wafted into my nose. I almost forgot to breathe, watching his slender fingers pull out the seatbelt. His long arms seemed to encircle me in his arms. Suddenly, my heart started pounding. I didn't know where to look for a moment. After the car started, Cheng Yang's gentle voice sounded. "Miss Shen should haven't had dinner yet. I wonder if I have the honor to invite Jinyan to have dinner with me." Actually, I generally don't have dinner with someone I've only met once. But this time I said, "Sure." After that day, I didn't contact Song Wang anymore. Baiji started to frequently update the daily life of her relationship with Song Wang on Douyin. At first, only one of Song Wang's hands was shown, then half of his shoulder, and then his side face. Finally, Song Wang showed his whole face and kissed her, officially announcing their relationship. This video became a trending topic. Some netizens questioned Song Wang's identity. As a result, Baiji directly said in the live broadcast that when Song Wang's birthday came, she would broadcast live and let the fans meet the real person. Baiji also said that Song Wang would take her to Iceland to see the aurora. During the live broadcast, she was completely surrounded by love and was extremely happy. My little sisters in the circle asked me after they knew about it, "Jinyan, don't you have an arranged marriage with Mr. Song?" Arranged marriage? No way. I opened the chat box and sent a voice message. "No, Song Wang and I are just ordinary childhood friends. I'll tell you in secret, he has already taken Baiji to meet his parents. Don't tell anyone else." When I said this, my little sister also understood what I meant. We tacitly stopped talking about this topic, chatted about something else, and then ended the conversation. In fact, these days, I haven't deliberately paid attention to Song Wang. I just brushed through short videos during my free time when organizing materials, and naturally saw the trending topic. I had once imagined what I would do if Song Wang proposed to Baiji, but now, when I saw these things, I only felt a sense of emotion. I wasn't sad, I wasn't unable to accept it, and I didn't feel like I couldn't go on living. The message notification sounded. I picked up the phone on the table and saw that the blind date partner had sent me a message. I smiled involuntarily and tapped the keyboard with my fingers. "I'm already ready. Okay, see you tomorrow." The next day, Cheng Yang accompanied me to the school to go through the procedures needed for studying abroad. He walked with me on campus, and we were like a couple who had just started dating. I told him some things about the school, and he would say a few words when listening. When I talked about something funny, he would also laugh with me. With Cheng Yang, I felt a long-lost sense of ease. "I'm going back to the dormitory to pack some things. Do you want to go back first?" I regretted it as soon as I said it. But I was too embarrassed to ask him to wait for me. However, Cheng Yang smiled and ruffled my hair. "It's okay, go and pack, I'll wait for you downstairs." My heart started pounding again. I ran into the building with a red face. When climbing the stairs, I unconsciously touched the place where his hand had been and suddenly laughed out loud. I didn't have many things in the dormitory, and soon I went out carrying a bag. "Thank you for waiting for me, let's go. I'll treat you to the spicy hot pot at the back door of the school." "Okay." Cheng Yang skillfully took the bag from my hand. When he took a step, I caught up with him. Unexpectedly, I bumped into Suzuki, who was about to send his girlfriend back to the dormitory. I was quite familiar with Suzuki. He was one of Song Wang's many brothers. He always teased me for following Song Wang around like a little housekeeper. At this time, his gaze landed on Cheng Yang and me, and he asked with a hint of doubt, "Xinyan, who is this?" The arranged marriage relationship between Cheng Yang and me hadn't been revealed yet. To reduce unnecessary trouble, I pretended to smile shyly and said, "This is the errand boy I hired." It was obvious to anyone that I was talking nonsense. Suzuki didn't know what he had thought of. He frowned and looked at me, his tone very serious. "Xinyan, it's good that you've figured it out." After thinking it over, Suzuki still called Song Wang. He and Song Wang had been brothers for more than 10 years. Seeing Shen Xinyan appear by Song Wang's side, although Song Wang always said that he was annoyed by this girl from the arranged marriage, he acquiesced to Shen Xinyan's every appearance. He always felt that Song Wang had feelings for Shen Xinyan, but he was just confused now. As an outsider, he could still see things somewhat clearly. Well, it was up to him to take action. Otherwise, if this matter got messed up, there would be plenty of people who would regret it. "Brother, are you busy? Recently, you and Xinyan." Before Suzuki could finish speaking, he was interrupted by Song Wang. You seem to be quite free recently. Did that girl Xinyan ask you to be a lobbyist?" Song Wang knew that Shen Xinyan hadn't contacted him recently because she was angry with him. She was annoyed that he had put all his thoughts on Baiji, but this time, Shen Xinyan had grown some backbone and had endured not disturbing him for so long. However, a little girl was still a little girl. She had used her brain this time. She had learned to find a lobbyist. "No, it's not. I saw Xinyan with a boy today." Song Wang sneered and said indifferently, "Come on, don't I know Shen Xinyan? She will only revolve around me." "What boy? You're starting to make up lies with her as a lobbyist. You have time to play with little girls, but I don't. You tell her that if she uses such means to attract my attention again, it won't just be half a month of ignoring her." Saying this, he sneered again. "It seems that I've been too indulgent to her. Alright, I still need to discuss the birthday party with Baiji later. Don't call me again on Xinyan's behalf." Suzuki scratched his hair irritably. Why was his brother so difficult to communicate with today? On Song Wang's birthday, Cheng Yang and I had already boarded the plane to Germany. I didn't tell anyone else about studying abroad in Germany, and there was no need to tell Song Wang either among the school leaders. After all, Song Wang and Baiji were deeply in love, and no one would bring this up to upset him. Early that morning, I went out wearing a woolen coat. The driver of Cheng Yang's family saw me and quickly ran over to take the suitcase from my hand. Opening the car door, Cheng Yang was sitting in the back seat in casual clothes, holding a delicate lunchbox in his arms. When he saw me, he smiled. "Jinyan, come in quickly. I brought your favorite breakfast." The man had a delicate face, with his eyelashes drooping, looking like a cute big dog. He was kind of cute. I suddenly remembered that Song Wang used to treat me so considerately too, but now, I shook my head, stepped into the car, and unceremoniously took the lunchbox from his arms. Looking at the man who seemed to be waiting for praise, I smiled with my eyes curving. "Thank you, young Master Cheng." For the breakfast, in the early morning when it was still dark, the black luxury car sped away in the twilight. In the first-class cabin, I followed behind Cheng Yang, and my gaze accidentally swept over his buttocks. Well, are all men's but so perky. Also, his legs were really long. I don't know why some inappropriate thoughts suddenly popped up in my head. While my thoughts were wandering, I tripped over my own feet with my left foot and landed right in his arms. When our eyes met, I felt inexplicably embarrassed. Although our two families had already decided on the arranged marriage and we were in a relationship as an engaged couple. But after all, we didn't know each other very well yet, even though this person gave me a good impression, and even though he looked like a big dog when he lowered his eyes, but it really seemed like I was throwing myself at him. Really, doesn't anyone want me to act in a couple of TV drama episodes? I think I'm really good at it. Although I had been following Song Wang around for several years, I really didn't want Cheng Yang to think that I was a frivolous person. If nothing unexpected happened, he and I were going to spend our whole lives together. Even if we couldn't fall in love, I still hoped that we could respect each other in the future. I really wanted to leave him a good impression, so I quickly got out of his arms and said apologetically, "I'm not like this usually, really." Cheng Yang clenched his fists and coughed awkwardly twice. "Well, the journey is long. Do you want to take a rest?" I nodded and sat down in my seat, then pretended to be very busy looking for a blanket. "Seriously, who booked a double bed?" The person beside me seemed to laugh softly. Then I saw a pair of big hands with distinct knuckles cover me with the blanket. I didn't dare to look into his eyes and stammered, thank you," to avoid the awkwardness. I directly closed my eyes and started pretending to be asleep. I woke up during the journey to have a meal, and then I went back to sleep. When I woke up again, I realized that I had actually fallen asleep leaning against Cheng Yang. As soon as I opened my eyes, there was a handsome face in front of me. What I could see was a sexy Adam's apple, the man's angular jaw, the perky nasal bone, and his tightly closed eyes. My goodness, was this developing too fast? Also, my neck seemed to hurt a bit. I reached out and stroked the man's thin eyelids, but I didn't expect to disturb his sleep. Cheng Yang opened his eyes and looked at me with a dazed expression. I really didn't know what to say. I had clearly sworn before that I wasn't like that usually, but it didn't take long for me to be caught red-handed. I was so embarrassed that I wished I could just disappear. Contrary to what I expected, there was no embarrassment. Cheng Yang seemed not fully awake. He just squinted his eyes and adjusted the blanket, then hugged me with both hands and fell asleep again. In fact, before getting on the plane, I had received a call from Bai Ji. I didn't want to answer it at first, but I still pressed the answer button. "Shen Jinyan, you won't come to our Wang's birthday, will you? A girl shouldn't be so shameless, don't you think? Since he doesn't like you, you shouldn't keep clinging to him like a piece of gum, right?" I used to be easily provoked by Bai Ji's words like these. Then when Song Wang saw it, she would speak in a coquettish and insincere way, making Song Wang dislike me again and again. But this time, I pressed the record button as soon as I answered the call. Then I chuckled, "Who said I won't go? Just wait." When the party started, Bai Ji began to feel anxious and uneasy. She had told her fans that she would start a live broadcast to let them meet Song Wang when it was his birthday. But at the thought of Shen Jinyan coming, if Shen Jinyan brought up her arranged marriage with Song Wang during her live broadcast, she would slap herself. She really regretted making that call. Her original intention was to embarrass Shen Jinyan and make her not come, who knew it would have the opposite effect. She bit her lip with a worried expression. Song Wang also noticed that Bai Ji was in a bad mood and asked gently, "What's wrong? Are you not feeling well?" Bai Ji curved her lips and forced a smile. "No, it's just that I told my fans before that I would start a live broadcast when it's your birthday, but now I think it might not be appropriate. Song Wang put his arm around her shoulder and patted it comfortingly. It is a bit inappropriate. But later when you start the live broadcast, I can show my face for a while. Come on, cheer up, there are so many people here. Baiji looked up at Song Wang and then lowered her head again. Ah Wang, actually I'm scared. What if Sister Xinyan mentions your arranged marriage on the internet? What should I do then? Why are you bringing this up too? Song Wang suddenly frowned. He hated it the most when others mentioned his arranged marriage with Shen Xinyan, but looking at the tearful face in front of him, his heart softened instantly. Okay, I'll deal with this matter. I promise no one will mention this on the internet, and no one will hurt you. After he finished speaking, Baiji visibly became happy. Looking at Baiji, who immediately smiled brightly upon hearing his words, Song Wang also smiled. He liked Baiji's simple nature. She was straightforward and uncomplicated. She didn't have so many twists and turns that would give him a headache. After getting Song Wang's approval, Baiji's mood indeed improved. She leaned affectionately into Song Wang's arms and gave him a kiss. She thought that even if Shen Xinyan came now, she wasn't afraid. Song Wang would always take her side. The initial anxiety gradually dissipated. Baiji raised her head and heard Song Wang chuckling. Look, you've cried and turned into a little cat with a smudged face. She stamped her foot playfully. You're so annoying. I'll go touch up my makeup. Wait for me. After Baiji left, Song Wang started chatting with his group of brothers. As they were talking, somehow someone mentioned me. It's strange. Did any of you see Sister Xinyan tonight? Saying this, everyone realized that indeed none of them had seen me that night. Is that possible? Sister Xinyan didn't come tonight. That can't be right. No matter what party our brother had before, Sister Xinyan was always the first one to arrive. The person sitting next to Song Wang suddenly bumped his shoulder and winked mischievously. Is it because you've been too high profile with your little sister-in-law recently, and Sister Xinyan is angry with you? Song Wang glanced at that person. Speak properly. Can't this wine shut your mouth? Although he said that, he didn't swallow the wine in his mouth for a long time. Shen Xinyan had indeed been a bit unusual recently, except for asking Suzuki to be a lobbyist last time. She hadn't bothered him again, but wasn't this what he wanted? Thinking of this, he shook his head and drank the wine in his mouth, but then he sneered softly. He didn't believe that Shen Xinyan could be so patient. After all these years, he knew Shen Xinyan too well. Later, she would definitely bring him the thing he wanted the most to please him. Song Wang put down the wine glass in his hand, crossed his arms, and leaned back, his voice full of playfulness. If she comes later, don't let her in first. Everyone knew that this was a small punishment from Song Wang because he was angry that Shen Xinyan was late. Then they teased. I wonder what gift Sister Xinyan has prepared for Brother Wang. Needless to guess, Sister Xinyan will definitely give Brother Wang that piece of land he took a fancy to some time ago. Before, whenever Song Wang took a fancy to something and just mentioned it casually, I would try my best to get it and give it to him. This time, Song Wang thought that Shen Xinyan would definitely give him that piece of land in the same way, but until halfway through the party, when 0 o'clock came, marking the moment of Song Wang's birthday, I still didn't come. He frowned, and his face seemed to look not very good. Suzuki noticed Song Wang's unease, leaned over to his ear and tentatively said, how about I call Xinyan? Maybe she's stuck in traffic on the way. Song Wang didn't say anything, but he didn't say no either. Suzuki stood up and directly dialed the voice call. On the other side of the ocean, Cheng Yang and I had arrived in a strange country. When I lay on the big bed in the manor, I finally felt comfortable. Although there was a bed to sleep on during the whole flight, I still didn't have the sense of security of being on solid ground. In a half-asleep and half-awake state, I was woken up by the WeChat call notification. Xinyan, why haven't you come yet? I rubbed my swollen head and was a bit dazed for a moment. What? Suzuki covered his mouth and lowered his voice. It's Brother Wang's birthday today. What's going on with you? Come quickly, we're about to cut the cake soon. Every year, you and Brother Wang cut the cake together. If you don't come, your little sister-in-law is going to cut it. Suzuki looked at Baiji, who was eager to hold the knife, and chattered on. I turned over and let out a sigh. I'm not going. Please convey my regards to Mr. Song for me. Just wish him a happy birthday. I didn't know. When I said these two sentences, the person on the other end of the phone had already been replaced by Song Wang. He listened to me calling him Mr. Song when I was talking to Suzuki. This was a strange address that I had never used before. He suddenly felt uncomfortable all over. Clearly, I used to be the most clingy to him, but now I didn't come to his birthday, he admitted. He was indeed a bit affected by my address. Perhaps deep in his heart, he didn't want me to be so distant from him. Jinyan, it's better to say the blessings to me in person. What do you think? I wasn't surprised to hear Song Wang's voice. After all, without his permission, Suzuki wouldn't have taken the initiative to call me and ask. Of course, if you're doing all this because of Baiji, I can only say that you're wasting your efforts. I know you must be hiding somewhere and secretly watching us. Stop being naughty and come over. I suddenly laughed. Mr. Song, you can think whatever you want, just don't call me again in the future. After saying that, I hung up the phone directly. To be honest, these 2 days with Cheng Yang, I didn't think of Song Wang at all, not even for a second. I didn't want to think about these things anymore. After taking a hot shower, I went downstairs. Cheng Yang was sitting on the sofa reading a book. When he saw me coming down, he put down the book, took off his glasses, and rubbed his eyes. You're finally awake. The butler has booked a restaurant. I heard the food there is quite good. I nodded. Then I'll change my clothes. Cheng Yang grabbed my wrist and said pitifully, have mercy on me, my lady. I'm starving to death. Can we not change? You look really beautiful in this outfit. Really, looking at his appearance, I laughed out loud. Then I made a pleased gesture to him. Soon we arrived at the selected restaurant, and the environment was indeed very nice. Although Cheng Yang was so hungry that he covered his stomach, he still helped me pull out the chair in a very gentlemanly manner. Then, I took a few more glances at him. I had never expected that the young master of the Cheng family could be so considerate. Even Song Wang in the past couldn't do this. In other words, even if I were this hungry, I probably wouldn't think of being considerate to others. I developed a little more favorable impression of Cheng Yang. My first meal with Cheng Yang in a foreign country was perfect. After the meal, he invited me to go for a walk. He said it was to cultivate our relationship. Cheng Yang and I walked on the streets of a foreign country, chatting casually. It started to snow gradually in the sky, and the streets began to turn white. There were fewer and fewer pedestrians on the road, but Cheng Yang and I were still walking together. It seemed that there were only the two of us left in the whole world. In this situation, I suddenly had the thought that it would be really nice to keep walking like this. I didn't know who held whose hand. When our fingers were intertwined, Cheng Yang and I looked at each other and smiled. He was wearing a black coat. There was a layer of snowflakes on his black hair. When he blinked, his eyelashes lifted the half-melted snowflakes. He was like a young man walking out of a comic book. I stood on tiptoe and swept the snowflakes off the hair strands on his forehead. Unexpectedly, this scene was captured by a girl not far away. Wow, so romantic. Don't move, I'll take one more photo. I didn't expect to run into a friend here. Cheng Yang and I cooperated very well and posed as she asked. Finally, she said she wanted to take one more photo for us with our phone. Cheng Yang directly handed his phone to her. The girl didn't snatch the phone. After taking the photo, she handed the phone back to Cheng Yang. Finally, we waved goodbye. I raised my eyebrows. Do you trust her so much? What if she runs away with your phone? Cheng Yang didn't answer me. He just smiled and then wrapped me in his arms. I leaned against his chest and listened to the sound of his heartbeat. At this moment, I suddenly felt very at ease. After 5 minutes of romance, Cheng Yang took out his phone and did something I didn't know. The next moment, a black luxury car appeared beside us. I pointed at the 5 cars not far away, looked up at him. Is this the answer? After returning to the manor, Cheng Yang and I sat by the fireplace to warm ourselves. He suddenly took my hand and said, "Shall we officially announce our relationship?" Cheng Yang and I had already arrived in Germany. Soon, the news of the arranged marriage between the Shun and Cheng families would be released. Thinking of this, I nodded. Let's use the photo that girl took for us. How about that? The photo taken by that girl was really good. I asked Cheng Yang to send it to me. When I opened my phone, it showed that someone had sent me a video. I ignored it and posted a status on Moments with Cheng Yang. After posting, I casually opened that video. In the video, Song Wang held Baiji's hand and was cutting the cake. He smiled gently. "Aji, let's do it together." Then, Baiji took out the gift she gave to Song Wang. It was a wristwatch. It wasn't expensive. Although it didn't match Song Wang's status, Song Wang still took it and put it on directly. He also showed it off in front of everyone. Everyone complimented him very obligingly. Little sister-in-law has a great taste. Look how much our brother Wang likes it. Brother Wang is so lucky. Baiji smiled shyly and hid in Song Wang's arms. The video ended there. At this moment, my mood was as calm as still water. I chuckled, turned off my phone, and gently nestled into Cheng Yang's arms. There was a time difference between us and our home country, so when our mutual friends saw it, it happened to be when the party was coming to an end. Then the photo of Cheng Yang and me somehow got passed on to Song Wang's brother group chat. When they were passing the photo around and looking at it, suddenly someone exclaimed, "Going this far? Is that really Jinyan in this picture?" This is from Jinyan's own Moments post. How can it be fake? Does anyone know this guy? He seems quite a good match for Jinyan. Sure, keep it down. Song Wang was kissing Baiji, who was sitting on his lap at that time. Suddenly, he kicked over the table in front of him. He supported his knee with his hand, and his voice was cold and stern. "What are you talking about so happily?" "Nothing, nothing." The person who just told them to keep it down quickly turned off his phone screen and stuffed it into his pocket. Suzuki, who heard Song Wang calling his name, sensed that he was really angry and quickly took out his phone from his pocket and handed it over. He also unlocked the screen, by the way. As soon as Song Wang got the phone, he saw the photo of Cheng Yang and me kissing on the streets of a foreign country. "Shen Jinyan, you've really got some nerve." Song Wang enunciated each word slowly, and then sneered. The veins on his right hand that was around Baiji bulged. "Ah, Wang, you're hurting me." Looking at the angry Song Wang, Baiji playfully tapped his chest with her small fist in a coquettish manner, but then she was thrown to the ground. Baiji had tears in her eyes, covered her mouth, and looked at him in disbelief. Song Wang, who had doted on her so much, actually threw her to the ground. "You're angry at Sister Jinyan. So why take it out on me?" It was deadly quiet in the private room. The people who had been lively just now all tacitly shut up and then left quietly, leaving Baiji lying on the ground, facing Song Wang with tearful eyes. Seeing that Song Wang didn't mean to comfort or explain, she bit her lip, got up, opened the door, and looked back several times as she left. That night, Song Wang sat alone in the private room. He lit one cigarette after another, and then called Suzuki in the smoke-filled room. "Is it him?" Suzuki was stunned for a moment and then let out an Song Wang immediately hung up the phone. After that, Song Wang learned that Cheng Yang and I had gone to Germany. The arranged marriage between him and me was also called off after my father visited Grandpa Song and had a deep talk with him. The shackles that had been weighing on him since he became an adult vanished at this moment. But he didn't feel the slightest bit of joy. He wanted to see me. He wanted to ask me in person if it was my idea that the arranged marriage didn't count. So, he came here. I also didn't expect that Song Wang would actually come to find me. That day, Cheng Yang and I walked out of the school hand in hand. He was standing under the big tree across the road, wearing a brown coat and a black scarf. He was still as handsome as before. He greeted me. "Jinyan." I paused, held Cheng Yang's hand, and walked over. "They said you came to Germany." I didn't believe it. Grandpa said the arranged marriage doesn't count anymore. How could it not count? "Jinyan." As Song Wang spoke, he wanted to step forward, but Cheng Yang stepped sideways and blocked him. I poked my head out from the side and said in a more serious tone than ever, "Mr. Song, this is my fiancé, Cheng Yang. Cheng Yang, greet him." The man standing in front of me touched his nose and said naturally, "Brother-in-law." Song Wang had an expression as if the sky was about to fall and he couldn't accept it. After a long while, he said, "Jinyan, I'll break up with Baiji as soon as we get back. Please don't play this kind of joke on me, okay?" Sensing that Cheng Yang seemed a bit unhappy, I secretly pinched his little finger. "Mr. Song, I know I've caused you a lot of trouble in the past few years. I thought my secret love started because of the arranged marriage. I mistakenly thought I liked you. Now I've found the person I truly like. I also wish you and Sister Baiji happiness." After saying that, Cheng Yang and I left. I could feel a strong gaze staring at me from behind, but I knew that I wouldn't look back. After Song Wang returned to China, he often got drunk late at night. When Baiji came to find him, he pushed her away. "Get lost. Don't touch me. I want to break up with you." He was groggy and didn't control his strength. Baiji was pushed down the stairs by him. Then, her white dress turned red. After being sent to the hospital, the doctor told them that the baby couldn't be saved. Baiji came out of the operating room with a pale face. Later, after she woke up, Song Wang still told her about the breakup. Baiji, don't look for me anymore in the future, let's part ways amicably. Baiji's eyes suddenly turned red, she grabbed his wrist and cried bitterly. Did Aji do something wrong? Why don't you want Aji anymore? No, then why? There's no reason. Baiji, I'll give you a sum of money. If you have anything to ask for help in the future, I'll help you too. Baiji looked up, her eyes red, like a poor little kitten. Song Wang looked at her. He suddenly remembered that he had never been so harsh to her before. Unlike Shen Jinyan, he couldn't even remember how many cold looks he had given Shen Jinyan. He still remembered the first time he left her for Baiji. Her eyes were filled with tears, she looked at him so sadly, and she was as fragile as a kite. Song Wang thought that at that time, he was extremely annoyed, but in fact, those sad looks were deeply engraved in his heart, until the last time, when he left Shen Jinyan again. There was no longer the light of attachment to him in her eyes. When I returned to China this year, my little sister told me about Song Wang and Baiji. It turned out that Baiji didn't agree to the unilateral breakup. She had finally caught Song Wang, a wealthy man, and she refused to agree no matter what. Even though he left her a check for 5 million yuan, Baiji couldn't find him, so she started crying and complaining on Douyin. She said she had a miscarriage and that Song Wang didn't want her anymore. Netizens cursed him, and she didn't care. She just said that the baby was gone and she had been let down. As she cried, some netizens began to sympathize with her. At first, Song Wang didn't care. It wasn't until a flood of press releases appeared, he realized that he had underestimated Baiji. Just then, someone sent him a package. When he opened it, dozens of photos of Baiji with different men scattered out. Song Wang suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. He lost Shen Jinyan for such a woman. After dialing the internal line, he asked his assistant to investigate Baiji. Soon, Baiji's information appeared on his desk. What kind of woman was she? Plastic surgery, escorting for drinks, soliciting customers, gambling, being a mistress. He covered his chest. It was so dirty. He directly took action and released Baiji's scandalous information online. Netizens started cursing her again. Baiji was driven off the internet by the scolding. When she was at the end of her rope, Song Wang appeared. After that, Baiji disappeared. Later, there were rumors in the circle that Song Wang had sent Baiji to northern Myanmar. In the third year that Cheng Yang and I were in Germany, he proposed to me on the streets of a foreign country. It was a very precious blue diamond that he had bought at an auction house a few days ago. It was of great value. I liked it very much, so I agreed. With Cheng Yang, I don't have to worry about who he will take sides with because he always stands by me. He gave me enough security in this relationship and spoiled me like a child. Cheng Yang, why do you like me? I leaned against his arms and looked at the stars in the sky. Cheng Yang smiled gently and kissed my red lips. Jinyan, you are very excellent. I love you because you are worthy of being loved. It's my honor that you accept my love. You see, after staying abroad for 3 years, he has also become good at talking. It was later when he got drunk and let it slip. I finally knew. It turned out that a certain young man had fallen in love with me at first sight. But the first sight was in high school. He had a low blood sugar episode when he came out of the laboratory and happened to meet me who was going to find Song Wang. I shared half of the chocolate that I originally planned to bring to Song Wang with him. Since then, his love for me took root deeply. Later, when he saw that I got along well with Song Wang, he silently blessed us in his heart. But when he heard about me again a few years later, I was the one who was hurt. He told himself, if Song Wang didn't cherish Shen Jinyan, then he would. He asked his eldest brother to propose marriage to the Shen family. That day, Cheng Yang spent several hours dressing up in front of the full-length mirror, but in the end, he didn't get to meet me. Fortunately, later, I sent him a help message. When we met again, he called me Shen Jinyan. On that day, Cupid shot his golden arrow into the hearts of Cheng Yang and me. That was the first time my heart fluttered. Epilogue, Song Wang's perspective. When Song Wang was 30 years old, Shen Jinyan and Cheng Yang got married. It was a luxurious and grand wedding with the union of 2 powerful and wealthy families. As an old acquaintance, he was also invited. He watched as Shen Jinyan, wearing a handmade wedding dress worth a fortune, walked step by step to Cheng Yang's side. He thought that after all these years, he had already let go, but at this moment, he clearly realized that he could never forget. He could never forget his past with Shen Jinyan. But it was he himself who had lost her with his own hands. He raised his head and drank a glass of wine, then left the wedding. He didn't want to see Shen Jinyan and Cheng Yang exchange rings. He didn't want to see them kiss. He didn't want to admit that he had lost the one he loved forever. Thinking back to the first few years, he and Shen Jinyan were tied together because of the arranged marriage. Shen Jinyan always followed him around. In fact, he was happy about it in his heart. But how did it turn out like this later? He thought that maybe it was because Shen Jinyan was too good to him. People are all a bit masochistic. He didn't like an unchanging life. With Shen Jinyan, the future was predictable at a glance. When I came out, Uncle Wang opened the door of the passenger seat. With the support of the Shen family, the Song family's business went smoothly. For the projects he wanted, as long as he mentioned it, Shen Jinyan would try every means to get them for him. For the land he wanted, it would appear under his name the next day. As long as he wanted something and she had it, she would give it to him. But he was afraid that others would say he was a kept man, so he treated Shen Jinyan worse and worse. It was as if he could prove something in this way, after the arranged marriage no longer counted. Although Father Shen still provided support out of gratitude for Grandpa's saving Jinyan's life, but it was finally not as good as before. He also went from being the young master Song in the past to the young CEO Song now. Later, he never saw Shen Jinyan again.